unelected party advisors and unelected candidates should be subject to the same disclosure rules as candidates? What's the difference between Carney advising Trudeau and someone like Jenny Byrne advising your party's leader?
Okay, I'm happy to explain to you the difference between someone sitting in the Prime Minister's office and someone not sitting in the Prime Minister's office.
No,
so Mark Carney, who was sitting in the Prime Minister's office, was an advisor to Justin Trudeau, and at the same time that he was an advisor to Justin Trudeau, I listed, while you wandered off, I listed a number of examples of how his company benefited from decisions that the government that he was advising was taking. All the while, he wasn't being subjected to the standard disclosure rules that exist for someone who's advising the Prime Minister. Now, it's easy for Canadians to see why that conflict is something that we need to have rules to prevent, and the rules that existed, they went to great pains to avoid, including at committee, days and days across multiple committees of Liberals filibustering to ensure that Mark Carney, in his role as an advisor to the Prime Minister, who was not being subjected, who was being shielded from Canada's ethics laws, they also shielded him from coming to a parliamentary committee. It's absolutely unacceptable that they've teed this up to have him avoid the standard and customary disclosures, the transparency that Canadians expect and deserve from someone who says one thing and does another. Canadians simply cannot believe what Mark Carney has said, so we need these disclosures so Canadians can get the full picture about the conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest that Mark Carney has. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question.
So is it Mark Carney that needs to change, or is it the rules? And if so, if it's the rules that need to change here, what would a Conservative government do to change these ethics rules? Well,
first of all, we're in a position where Justin Trudeau and the NDP Liberals have shut down Parliament. So we have no opportunity to use any of the accountability tools that are usually available to us, including committee. We have no ability to change the rules or change the laws because they've locked parliamentarians out of the House of Commons, and so we're left to deal with these rules. But they're insufficient because Mark Carney has been given the privileged role of serving as a senior advisor to the Prime Minister while they avoided the normal disclosure process. So we arrive at this place only because Justin Trudeau shielded Mark Carney from the usual accountability practice. To be clear, the rules weren't designed for a situation like this and would need to be updated to reflect the reality that we find ourselves in. I don't believe that the architects of these rules could have imagined the lengths that Liberals would go to break the law as it had been and avoid the law as it had been created. And of course, Conservatives will have a common sense solution to ensure that in the future we don't find ourselves in that position. But today, Mark Carney needs to make that public disclosure, and he can't wait until after the Liberal leadership. He can't wait until after the next election. He needs to do it now. He's skated for far too long by avoiding the spirit of the law as it had been written.
So what I understand from what you're saying, basically, is that Mark Carney is not breaking any rules right now. Is that what you're saying?
It's absolutely unacceptable that we have someone who was allowed by Justin Trudeau, a serial ethical lawbreaker, a prime minister,
what rule is he breaking? Can you explain to us what rule he's breaking?
A prime minister twice found guilty of breaking Canada's ethics laws.
Mark Carney, what rule has he broken?
A prime minister who's twice found guilty of breaking Canada's ethics laws
3 times.
created a path for Mark Carney to sit in the Prime Minister's office and to advise him. All the while, he was making decisions that enriched himself and enriched his company. Transparency is required for Canadians. The rules as they exist today they don't go far enough to ensure that we have transparency. We've seen after 9 years of Justin Trudeau that the rules and the penalties as they exist aren't sufficient to deal with a Liberal government who is content to break the rules as they're written and to avoid the law wherever possible.
I'd like to ask you about outsourcing. You've been on the committee hearings that have looked into these trends. The government has pledged in budgets to save money in this area, to cut back, and now the public accounts show that, in fact, it's a new high, nearly $18 billion in outsourcing last year. What do you make of that?
We've seen under the Carney-Trudeau Liberals a doubling of the more than doubling of the use of these outside consultants. And after Conservatives uncovered the gross waste and the insider dealings that has led to criminal investigations and charges being laid against some of these contractors, while the Trudeau Liberals had said that there was nothing to see here and nothing to worry about, including with the $60 million Arrive scam, they committed to Canadians that they would reduce and scale back the outsourcing that they were using for these type of consultants. I think they even spent tens of millions of dollars looking to have an analysis done by an outside consultant on how to spend less on consultants. Canadians aren't seeing any improvement in the services that they're getting or the service delivery from the government, waiting record lengths of time, even for something as simple as a passport. We've said that we will end the insider dealing, the favoritism, the enrichment of Liberals' friends and these consultants, and restore common sense to Ottawa. It makes absolutely no sense that they continue to balloon the spending against their own commitments to pare it down or to eliminate it.
Last question.